Okay, continuation on bone tissue. Slide 9, bone cells. Remember, osteo is the prefix for bone. So it's osteoprogenitor cells, which are really cells that haven't made up their mind what they're going to do. Osteoblasts, which are going to become osteocytes. Osteocytes, which are mature um, bone cells, and osteoclasts, which break down bone. Remember, bone is a composite tissue, and this is used in construction all the time, particularly like in making airplane fuselages of a ceramic and a polymer. So what you want is you want to have real strength, but you want to be flexible. And so the ceramic is a hydroxyapatite, which is the strength, and the polymer is collagen, and so it's a mixture of proteoglycans and glycoproteins, which is the same thing as saying there are proteins that have sugar associated with them. So this is slide 10, which shows osteoprogenitor cells, which are really fetal cells, become osteoblasts. And they are in there in even adult bone that, if stimulated, will convert to osteocytes and lay down bone and become mature bone cells. Over here, osteoclasts, which are really different. It's a cell that breaks down bone. So remember, bone is a really dynamic tissue. Um, it's not inert. It's always changing depending upon the stress you put on it. If you put stress on your bones, osteoclasts lay down bone. If you don't put stress on your bones, osteoclasts will break down bone. Also, depending on calcium concentration. If the calcium concentration um, goes up, you stimulate osteocytes to lay down bone and decrease blood calcium. If blood calcium goes down, then you stimulate osteoclasts and you break down bone and you raise blood calcium. So it's making a bone called bone formation, and they're breaking down a bone called bone reabsorption. And it's the formation is calcification and mineralization. And the solubility product is this is the correct concentration of calcium and phosphate to form a hydroxyapatite. And this is why calcium is always more concentrated outside of cells, and phosphate is always more concentrated inside of cells. Because if you put enough of them together, you'll make bone. And you don't want to make bone where you don't want to make bone. That's called an ectopic calcification. There are other certain salts incorporated: sodium, magnesium, sulfate, and fluoride. And you need vitamin D and C to do this. Osteoclasts do bone reabsorption, and they're destroyed by proteolytic enzymes to break down calcium and HCl to break down the epoxyapatite. Okay, we turn to hyaline cartilage, which is the cartilage in it's articular cartilage at the end of the long bones. Doesn't have calcium, high percentage of water. Chondro, that's the suffix that means cartilage, not bone. And chondroblasts to chondrocytes, like osteoblasts to osteocytes, covered by a perichondrium, not a periosteum. And in strict contrast to bone, cartilage is avascular, no nerves, and that's why it takes so long to heal, because there's no blood vessels. Cartilage growth is like bone growth: interstitial growth and appositional growth. Interstitial growth is the growth in the long dimension, so you grow taller, and that happens in adolescence. Appositional is the sideways growth, thicker, stronger bones, depending upon how much stress you put on bones. And interstitial growth stops at puberty. Appositional growth will continue for your entire life, again, depending upon how much stress you put on your bones. So, bone development. This is slide 13. Two types of bone growth: intramembranous, endochondrial. Intramembranous is from mesenchyme tissue, endochondrial is from hyaline cartilage. Most bone is developed through endochondrial. Only a few bones, like the skull bones and your clavicle, is developed by intramembranous. So bone growth and remodeling. Bone elongation, growing taller, interstitial growth. Bone widening and thickening is appositional. And this is bone remodeling. It should be a sub under bone widening. Wolff's law means that the greater stress you put in the bones, the stronger your bones become. Okay, slide 14. This is talks about how bone is formed. Remember, when you're young, your flat bones of your skull are not completely grown. You have the fontanelles between the bones, and they grow and make your skull larger because your brain is growing at the same time. So you have this ossification grantor centers formed within thicker regions of mesenchyme. Remember, this is uh, uh, intramembranous growth starts with mesenchyme, which is a fetal tissue. The number two, osteoid, goes calcification. You make osteoblasts and you make osteocytes. Woven bone 3 and surrounding periosteum form, and then lamellar bone forms. The Haversian system forms a compact bone on the outside, spongy bone on the inside to form the flat bones of the skull.